I'm here with Lisa Rice. Lisa, I met Lisa at the Bridge Alliance Convention, and she fit perfectly the profile of the kind of folk we like to interview here at Politics Done Right, because she didn't only represent intellect, but she represented the type of person that could actually, if necessary, change her mind based on actual facts. Lisa, thank you so kindly for being here in Politics Done Right.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy to be
Well,
here.
well, great. Lisa, I heard you in a discussion with an immigrant, and by the way, I'm an immigrant myself, so be careful. No, I'm kidding. Uh, but I heard you with an immigrant, and he seemed to be saying that get over it, okay? All the past issues are over. Maybe people need to just get over it and move on to the future. And you had a stern statement for him. I wanted to say warning, but you had a stern statement for him. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'll give a little background before that. Um, the statement is based on something that I see happening, and all of us can see happening in school districts. We can see happening in libraries. We can see happening in local elections, which is I don't want to know history. I don't need to know history. And the fact of the matter is, we all need to know American history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It doesn't change what the opportunities are, but I think knowing the history and knowing how the country was built and knowing the systems that help or hurt benefit everyone. And so my remarks were because of a very, blissful 25-year-old, I think he is, who's very excited that his parents made the choice when he was young, preschool age, to come to America to make a better life for him and for the family, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
My point to him was, that is great, but understand that the better America that your parents brought you here for was built by my ancestors who were enslaved. And also because I am, a mutt like many people here in the Americas, I also have indigenous ancestors. And so we're living in an America in which land and resources were stolen from people who were here before any of us arrived. And so I think it's really important to know that whole history, because I think that then brings you to a point where you really do value what American potential can be. And I'm not sure that the 25-year-old really got that. So I felt I needed to say
Well,
something.
I think after you expressed it, I don't think anyone could help but get that, because remember, he's a manifestation of what not only he believes, but what others are preaching out there. Get over it, get over it. Let's move forward. And you can't really get over something that, as I put it on my show all of the times, you're asking us to start behind and catch up with folks who haven't had any brakes put on them. But that said, I think it is important for us to put the message out even deeper. There are structural issues that, unless you spoke about in schools, not the big thing right now is not teaching real history in school, not teaching about slavery or calling slavery something that it wasn't, and all these other issues. The thing that we have to let folks understand is, if you don't get it now, if you don't understand it now, how can you define or how can you create solutions to problems if you don't know the genesis of said problems?
Exactly. The example I like to use, because I think it sort of sparks something, is when and this happens all too often, I'm going to say easily once a month. I am sure is much more often, probably once a week, and we don't know about it. But a Black man in America, unarmed, running from the police, and gets shot?
Mm-hmm.
My answer to that is always slave patrol. People
Yeah.
look at me, I'm like, if you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know what that phrase means, then
Right.
you don't understand why this keeps happening. It's a
Ex-
direct connection, and you don't know it if you
exactly.
don't know history. That and I'm a person who studied history, so I'm I'm always going to, that's people say they don't understand. Well, of course you don't understand it if you don't know history. But
You
if you
don't.
know history, that human beings, enslaved human beings who were treated as property were, if they ran away, they were in effect committing the crime of stealing their being from someone who owned them, and therefore they could be shot. And if you
Right.
don't know that history, you don't know why it's still happening today.
And with that, I think you've wrapped it. Thank you so kindly for having been on
You're welcome.
Politics Done Right.
You're welcome.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.